Well, let me tell you something that might shake your world. If he truly loves you, he will ignore you, not out of neglect, not out of indifference, but because love, real love, doesn't beg for attention. A man who loves you is not just focused on you, he's focused on his mission, his growth, his purpose. And if his entire world revolves around you, then you don't have a man in love, you have a man who is lost. So before you start questioning his love just because he's not constantly texting, calling, or chasing, let's break this down. Let's shift the way we think about love. Because when you truly understand this, you won't just see relationships differently, you'll see yourself differently. Let's dive in. We live in a world where attention is mistaken for love, where a person's ability to be constantly present, constantly available, constantly reassuring is seen as proof of their devotion. But that's not love. That's dependence, that's attachment. That's an illusion created by insecurity, not a foundation built on trust. Love isn't about someone flooding your phone with messages every hour, calling you just to check where you are, or making sure you never go a moment without hearing from them. That's not connection. That's control. That's fear disguised as affection. And if you base love on that, you will always find yourself craving more and more, never feeling satisfied, never feeling secure, because the moment the attention fades, the love feels like it's disappearing with it. But real love doesn't work like that. Real love doesn't fade when the conversation pauses. It doesn't panic when there's silence. It doesn't feel threatened when space is needed. True connection exists beyond the surface. It's the kind of bond that doesn't demand constant reassurance because it is built on something deeper than momentary attention. It's built on trust. It's built on understanding. It's built on knowing that love isn't measured by how many times someone checks in, but by the depth of what you share when you do connect. A deep connection means you don't need to talk all day to feel close. It means you don't need someone in your presence 24/7 to know they care. It means you understand that love is not proven through the quantity of interactions, but through the quality of the relationship itself. When there is real connection, silence is not scary, it's comfortable. Time apart is not threatening, it's necessary. A man who truly loves you doesn't need to hover over you, doesn't need to prove his love every second, because he knows it's real. And when you know it's real, you don't need constant reminders. You just know. People who confuse love with attention often find themselves in cycles of unhealthy relationships. Always needing more, always feeling like they are not getting enough, always measuring love by how much effort is shown in the moment rather than the strength of the relationship over time. But deep connection is about trust. It's about presence, not persistence. It's about knowing that love is not something that needs to be constantly performed, it's something that simply is. When you chase attention, you chase temporary highs. You crave the rush of validation, the security of someone proving themselves to you over and over again. But when you chase connection, you don't need to constantly be reassured. You don't need someone to prove their love through excessive gestures or endless conversation, because connection means you are secure in what you share even when words aren't being spoken. even when days go by without excessive displays of affection. It's knowing that love doesn't vanish in the quiet moments, it strengthens in them. We've been conditioned to believe that love is something that constantly needs to be proven. That if someone loves you, they will always be around, always checking in, always making sure you feel wanted every second of the day. But what if I told you that this idea of love is rooted in insecurity rather than true connection? What if I told you that the need for constant attention isn't love, but fear? Fear of being forgotten, fear of being unimportant, fear of being replaced. And the more we confuse love with attention, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment, for resentment, for an exhausting cycle of chasing validation instead of building something real. Love is not measured by the number of texts you receive in a day. It is not defined by how often someone reassures you, how frequently they check in, or how quickly they respond. Love is something deeper, something that doesn't depend on constant interaction to exist. When you are truly connected to someone, you don't need to hear from them every second to know they care. You don't need their presence at all times to feel secure. You don't mistake silence for distance or space for disinterest. Because real connection goes beyond surface level actions. It is something unshakable, something that doesn't require constant performance to remain strong. The problem with equating attention to love is that it creates a dependency. It turns love into a transaction where one person gives reassurance and the other takes it, where one person is expected to constantly prove their feelings while the other waits for those proofs to feel at ease. And that's not love. That's a craving for security in the wrong places, because no matter how much attention you receive, if the connection isn't deep, you will always feel like something is missing. You will always feel like you need more. And the moment the attention decreases, doubt will creep in, making you question everything. True love doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be in your face every second of the day. It doesn't need to be constantly reaffirmed through actions that are meant to fill a void rather than strengthen a connection. When two people are deeply connected, love is felt even in the quiet moments. It's understood even in the spaces between conversations. It's present even when words aren't being exchanged. There's no need for proof, no need for excessive reassurance, no need to fear that a lack of attention means a lack of love. Because when love is real, it exists whether it is being actively expressed or not. A person who truly loves you doesn't feel the need to smother you with attention to convince you of their feelings. They don't need to be in constant contact for you to feel secure in what you share. They trust that the bond is strong enough to withstand silence. They trust that their presence in your life doesn't need to be overwhelming for it to be meaningful. They trust that love isn't about proving, it's about knowing. And when two people share a deep connection, they don't spend their time questioning love based on how much attention is given in the moment, because they understand that love isn't something that needs to be constantly displayed. It's something that simply is. Most people assume that when someone ignores them, it means they don't care. That silence is a sign of disinterest. That space is an indication of fading love. But what if I told you that when a man who truly loves you steps back, when he doesn't chase, when he isn't constantly checking in, it's not because he's neglecting you, it's because he trusts. What if I told you that love isn't about always being present, always proving, always filling every empty space with words and actions, but about knowing that even in the silence, even in the moments of distance, the connection remains. See, we've been conditioned to believe that love should be relentless, that attention equals affection, that constant reassurance is necessary for love to exist. But real love, deep love, strong love, doesn't thrive on desperation. It thrives on trust. When a man truly loves you, he doesn't feel the need to smother you with his presence every moment because he believes in the bond you share. He knows that love doesn't need to be forced, that connection doesn't disappear just because he's not always there, that the moments of space between you aren't a threat but a sign of security. Neglect is when someone is indifferent, when they stop caring, when they make you feel unseen, unheard, unimportant. But trust looks different. Trust is when someone steps back, not because they don't love you, but because they believe you don't need constant validation to know how they feel. Trust is when a man can focus on his mission, on his work, on his goals, without fearing that you will think he loves you any less because of it. Trust is when he doesn't feel the need to check in every hour, not because he's forgotten you, but because he knows you don't need that to feel secure. A man who is constantly in your space, constantly proving himself, constantly making sure you don't doubt his love, he's not acting out of confidence, he's acting out of fear. Fear of losing you, fear that if he gives you too much space, you will walk away, fear that if he's not always present, you will start questioning his commitment. But when a man truly loves you, when he trusts what you share, he doesn't operate from fear, he operates from strength. He knows that his love is not measured by how many texts he sends, how often he checks in, or how much time he spends proving himself. He knows that real love is felt, not performed. The world has convinced us that if someone isn't giving us attention, they must not care. That if they're not constantly present, they must be losing interest. That if they are focused on something other than us, it means we are not a priority. But real love isn't about constant presence. It's about unwavering belief in the connection. It's about knowing that even when life demands attention, elsewhere the love remains. It's about understanding that just because someone isn't always showing their love doesn't mean it's not there. It's about realizing that when a man steps back, when he gives you space, when he doesn't hover, it's not because he's neglecting you, it's because he trusts you enough to know that he doesn't have to. Love isn't easy. It isn't just butterflies and romance, sweet words and grand gestures. It isn't about feeling good all the time, about getting everything you want, about constant reassurance and never having doubts. Love will test you. It will push you to your limits. It will challenge everything you think you know about yourself, about relationships, about what it means to truly connect with someone. And if you're not ready, if you're still looking for love to be a source of validation rather than a source of growth, then you will struggle. You will mistake discomfort for failure, silence for distance, and challenges for reasons to walk away. Most people say they want love, but what they really want is comfort. They want something easy, something that never makes them question themselves, something that never forces them to grow. But love isn't designed to keep you comfortable. It's designed to evolve you. It will expose your insecurities, bring your fears to the surface, make you face parts of yourself that you'd rather avoid. Love will show you where you are weak, where you need healing, where your old wounds are still shaping the way you see relationships. And if you don't recognize this, if you don't understand that real love is meant to refine you, then every challenge will feel like a threat. Every difficult moment will seem like a sign that the relationship is failing. Every test will make you want to run. Love will test your patience. It will test your ability to trust. It will test your ability to handle space, to be secure without constant validation, to stand strong in your own worth without needing someone else to constantly remind you of it. It will put you in situations where your instincts tell you to react, to get angry, to demand more attention, to question everything. But the real test is whether you can pause, whether you can breathe through the discomfort, whether you can recognize that love is not about instant gratification, but about building something that lasts. It will test your ability to let go of control. Because the truth is, most people don't struggle with love. They struggle with uncertainty. They want to know exactly how things will turn out. They want to predict every move. They want to guarantee that they will never feel pain. But love doesn't work that way. Love requires surrender. It requires faith. It requires the ability to sit with uncertainty and still choose to show up, to give, to believe. It forces you to ask yourself, can you handle not knowing? Can you handle moments when things aren't perfect? Can you stay when it's uncomfortable, when it's unclear, when your fears tell you to run? Love will test your ego. It will show you whether you love unconditionally or only when it's convenient. It will show you whether you can support someone even when they are not giving you everything you want in the moment. It will show you whether you can appreciate love for what it is, or if you only value it when it meets your exact expectation. It will put you in situations where your pride is triggered, where your patience is stretched, where you have to decide, do I love this person or do I just love how they make me feel? It will test your ability to be alone without feeling abandoned. Can you handle the moments when your partner is distant, when they're focused on themselves, when they are not showering you with attention? Or do you start to panic, start to assume the worst, start to let your mind fill in the blanks with insecurities instead of truth?